I want to say it's Monday, but it's
Oh, no, ma'am.
it's Tuesday, baby. We are here. We are excited. We are back. And guess who we back with? Our girl, Natasha.
Ah!
Come, baby.
Good
I'm so
morning.
excited to have you back, Natasha. And I don't know if we released the bird in the air last week or not, but Natasha has graciously been checked by our Heavenly Father. He told her, yes, ma'am, you need to be with these ladies all the time. So she is officially with us
What he doing?
Tuesday,
What he doing? What he
Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So
doing?
make sure you tag somebody. Have them come on in because I'm telling y'all, last week was like explosive to me because Natasha dropped so many gems. Baby Miss Sparkle and I got in where we fit in and, dropped us some knowledge along with it. And it's just a great week of release. And you know what our thing is? We're healing for real this time.
It look for real this
So
time.
I want y'all to become interactive. I know that a lot of times people watch things and you feel like I don't want to say anything, but I feel like it's really important this time to really talk about it. Put something in the chat. You may not do it while we're live, but go back and look at the replay or if you catch it later. But acknowledge that you see this and you hear it and you receive it because I promise you, once you do that, it's like going to AA. The first thing is acknowledging that I have a problem. Acknowledge
Yeah.
that you're not here. Acknowledge that
I have a problem.
you need something to help you become a better version of yourself. And there's no shame in that. Been there, done that, still doing it because it's a process. And whether we talk about Natasha being, helping people, with addictions, and you feel like addiction. Oh, I've never been addicted. Don't go be so fast to say that because the addictions aren't always drug related. It's not always alcohol related. And it may not even be sex related. It could be food. It could
It could
be,
be sugar. I
it
It
could
could
be
be
promise you I'm
it
addicted.
could be the C word, control. Could be a
Yes.
oh,
Come
control
on.
you.
Come
like Janet
on.
Jackson said, control. It
Yes.
can be it can be so many things. And so what we need you to understand is for the average person, nobody's ever told you that. But what you need to know is that addictions come in a lot of forms. And the beautiful thing about it, this beautiful lady here has a degree and she's studied and she's been given a gift by God to take the
Yes.
knowledge that she's had and break it down to you help yourself. And so, what we are doing now, this season, we say season 9, realistically, we've been on the platform 3 years. And with that being said, it's getting to the good. You know how sometimes people might say, oh, the first one year was great, and then it kind of, but
Go off. Yeah.
it's some things that you look at that gets great, it gets better and better, or starts off good and may fall off and it may never come back. But the thing about it is this particular Empowered Morning Show with Natasha has gotten into a level of deep, and deep recognizes deep. You need to be able to understand that there's something in this message that she gives or the conversations that we have that you need to listen to a little bit more if you're wanting to become healed for real. Because that's the
Yeah.
goal. We're not fluff, we're not patty cake, and we're not, over here, double dutching and all that. We're here because we're having
Real talk.
conversations that matter.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things we could be talking about. We could be talking about who wore what dress when. We could be talking about,
Yes.
the
So
Grammys and all those
irrelevant.
things. We're not talking about that. We're
Yeah.
talking about how you can help yourself. Go back and get that little girl. Go back and get that little boy. Go back and deal and confront the things that hurt you to the point where you put up a wall or you became, overly people pleasing or you wanted to, jump into imposter syndrome because you thought being somebody else was going to get you more value than being yourself. And that's a lie.
Yes.
Nothing,
Yes.
nothing is ever more valuable than you being who
Yes.
you are.
Amen.
Yeah.
Period.
Amen.
Nothing.
Get that. Nothing
Period.
more in
Nothing.
your spirit that you are valuable. You are a
Yeah.
masterpiece. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. God
Yes.
has the hairs on your head counted. He has a fingerprint that nobody else has one like. When you
Amen.
get that and absorb that there's nobody else like you, baby, that can't nobody touch you. And
Can't nobody.
nobody. You
And
just got
that's where
to.
you become unstoppable. When you
Yes.
become unstoppable is when you have realized who you are and who
Mm-hmm.
you are.
Who's
You know,
you are.
people say that lightly. Like people will
They do.
scream that out real quick, but when you understand God loved me from the very beginning,
Beginning.
and
Mm-hmm.
his agape love, that means he doesn't miss any gaps.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't mislead in any kind of way. They're all covered. But in Powered Morning Show, the reason why it's going to another level, you cannot go a whole season talking about I believe God, I believe God, I believe God, and not go to a deeper level
That
of
part.
believing him. You
That
can't.
part.
So he's saying, if you're gonna keep going deep, and you gonna keep hollering how much you believe me, I need you to
Let's
be
see.
able to stand up into my
Yes.
belief. Like, don't
Yes.
be out here making me look all weak and all phony and
Right. No,
like I'm
and
a
Chicken Little.
like I'm a
No,
little
no, like a
genie.
chicken head cut out.
Yes.
No, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. We're not
No,
doing that.
I need you to get that faith increase, that strength up, knowing your get that heart right, get healed for real this time, because
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna. God says you're not gonna use my name in vain. You're
Mm,
Yes. And
mm.
I love that you said that, Sparkle. Before I go into what I'm getting ready to say, I'm gonna go to Kelly's comment. Kelly said, and good morning to everybody who said good morning, y'all. We jumped in, and I don't want to be rude. So good morning, and thank you for being here. We love you and appreciate you. Kelly said, is it crazy that I've never met any of you beautiful ladies, but I feel like we are the kind of friends I can tell anything to.
And
That's the
it's
beauty to me of,
Mhm.
this show, that the intimacy is there, even though we're bright and early in the morning, because Natashah and I were told y'all the only reason she here is for God to get on up. Because
it's
otherwise,
because
we love,
obedience. She's only in
just a bug
obedience.
in a rug, baby. And this morning I was right there with, I hit the alarm and I was like, yeah, let me give me a little snooze on, because it was so good and cozy. But we are here on assignment for purpose.
Amen.
And so I was going back to say, Sparkle, y'all, everybody who Sparkle for sure, and Regina know, I see stuff all the time from Fred Jones. And it's so ironic
Yes.
because my uncle who passed away, his name was Fred Jones. So it's really
Oh, so
nice.
it's
Yes, my cousin
personal to
Catherine
you.
passed. So it's even more special. But I love Fred Jones because Fred always hits it out the park when he's talking about stuff, right?
Mm.
And so he mentioned about the Grammys. And he was like, no disrespect to people or whatever, about what you say or whatever. But you know how sometimes people will say, give it up. I want to first, honor
Give
God,
honor to God.
thank
Yeah.
Jesus for this, that, and the other, whatever, And he says sometimes you have to be careful because there's a lot of lip service going on in
Yep.
life where you talk about God, but you don't have a relationship with him. And the reality is that's anywhere. That's in churches. That's
Yes,
in
that's in
in
everywhere.
your family, in
God
your
has called
relationship.
me out about it before. I ain't even gonna
Yes.
lie. I have been called out on it by him. Like, girl, you doing a bunch of talking. That
Mm-hmm.
lip service. Now
Mm-hmm.
take me to my word then.
Mm-hmm.
Since you
And
want to talk
what
this
Fred,
talk, take me to my word to it. I'm like,
that's basically what Fred was saying, that we have created a culture that is complacent with people just saying, I believe God, I believe God. But when something happens, you the first one running around here like you crazy and you
Yep.
blowing snot and you all over the place because you don't trust the God that you claim
Mm.
you
Come
believe
on
in.
now.
And it
Come on
has
now.
to get to a place where we start thinking that, am I going to be all about what I'm saying, or am I going to walk my talk? And
yep.
that's what healing for real does for you. It allows you to heal so that when something happens, because it will, we can't go around here and say the Bible doesn't say no weapon formed against you shall prosper if no weapon was going to come. The
They gonna
weapons will
come.
come, trials
Mm.
and tribulations will come, things you don't want to happen will happen to you. And that's the reality of life on earth. We are dealing with people. I had a conversation with Reverend Pat last night. We were talking about how sometimes you get situations because they say, well, you need to change your eating habits. But the reality is, we're in America where other countries ban food that they
Yeah.
allow us to eat all day long,
Yes.
and they
They
know that's
pump
not
it with
good for us.
everything.
Exactly, but because of the almighty dollar, as they say, we eat things that are not as good for us now as it was 25 years ago when I
Yep.
was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Or,
Yep.
well, y'all, I'm almost 60, so let me back on up a little bit more than that.
But no, you're for
And
real.
25
Like
years
when
ago,
you was
I
a
was good and
kid,
wrong. But But
it
do you
was for real about picking. Like, we didn't know what canned food was. Canned food, like, if it was canned, it was in a jar. It was in a mason jar that my grandmother pulled it out of a jar because she prepared, like the way she, people say, I prepare my food. No, my granny prepared food. Like, she pre-packed that food. On a Saturday, it's turnip green day. So all she doing is turnip greens, picking turnip greens, cooking them down, and putting them in them jars and putting them back up. Corn, like green beans. Like, we didn't get all this crazy stuff until the world got elevated, and it was like, you don't got to do all that no more. It take too long. I got a quick way that you can get some food. I can steam your corn in the microwave.
In reality, do y'all know that it's a lot of farmers that don't farm anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. The farms are gone. I'm living on it. I'm living.
Do you think about that? Because I remember being a little girl, I'm from Tennessee. So my dad, we would sometimes go to
Tennessee.
Shout out Tennessee girls. Go to the farmer's market. I remember my driving, he would drive to Memphis and go to the farmer's market, and they would have all kinds of fresh food. I can remember my mom, we were having purple hull peas, and I would be shelling peas and chopping green peas and shucking corn and all those things because we had freshness all around us. But even with the food then fresh, it's not the same fresh food that you get now. You can get, I was telling Brother Pay, you can get a cucumber, baby. You don't eat that joke in 2 days, baby. It's mushed up and jacked up.
Now they create the little bags. Now you're supposed to put it in now you want me to buy something else to put my fruit in, and you got to put it in the seal bag so it'll stay fresh.
Exactly.
I mean, Angela, I remember at the flea market, every flea market trip, I would get in trouble because I would go around eating the strawberries, eating the grapes, eating all that food that was sitting that they had displayed. I was always ready to go to farmer's market. And then it was lunchtime. Like, I'm full. I have eight.
Yes,
food.
Yes, absolutely.
But it was. I'm thankful that I had that experience because my daughter don't know what that is.
Exactly. But I said all that to go back and say that we've got to be conscious of the fact that the earth, the world that we live in now is different and it's changing. And if you don't heal for real, if you don't recognize,
we have to change too.
Attachment styles, if you don't go in and understand that if you keep moving like you're moving, something catastrophic can happen and you won't be able to stand because you've not allowed yourself to build that inner person up to withstand the wiles of the devil. Natashah, last week we talked about attachment styles. But this morning, you and Sparkle, we're in the back having a conversation about, do you believe me? Do you trust me for real? And how God will send you a sign to help you recognize that I'm here. I'm present. Don't worry. I got you. When we say God don't play about me, do you really mean that?
Are you just doing the TikTok because they came out with a dance that said God don't believe about me? Like we have to get off these trends because a trend will get you messed up because you just sitting there talking, doing lip service, as a friend said. And believe, if you look at the word, if you dissect the word, it has Eve in it. It has live in it. It has a lot of in the inside of the word that other words are broken down inside of it. So it's a live thing. You got to live in this belief. You got to dwell in this belief, and things will pop up. But who report? If it goes back to the old, who report do you choose to believe?
Exactly. Whose report do you believe in? Kelly said that's why I have trouble understanding the Old Testament. Times were so different then. I try to put myself back in that time to try to understand better. And it is hard.
It's very. I can pronounce
very
hard words.
Exactly. But Natashah, tone and break down those attachment styles because we're talking about healing for real, and y'all know time's rolling. And I want people to start becoming aware so that they can recognize some of the attachments that we have that you have been dealing with.
Good morning, everyone. And before I can get into the attachment styles, let me say that first of all, God is on fire this morning with this conversation. You both dropped so many gems. I'm sitting back here and my mind is blown and thinking this show is just not long enough for us to even be able to even get into what you guys are talking about. So I kind of want to just do a really quick recap and bring it all together.
Okay.
And I love, Angela, when you started this by saying when people hear that Natashah specializes in addiction, their immediate mind goes to, I'm not an addict, so her stuff doesn't apply to me. God knows what he was doing when he drove that to your spirit this morning for you to start the conversation off like that, right? So I made some notes, some points while you ladies were talking. Behavioral addictions is an underlying addiction underneath chemical. So you have chemical addictions and then you have behavioral addictions, right? So here, majority of the population want to say, I don't have a chemical addiction. That's great. Move it to the side. Let's move on, right? Now let's look at that second layer of addiction. That's a behavioral addiction. It's a compulsion to do the same thing over and over and expect a different response. Right? It's a definition of insanity. It's a word. It's something that we learn in recovery when we keep doing the same thing over and over. Let's talk about indulgence. Let's talk about indulgence into unhealthy foods, like you guys were just talking about. Let's talk about indulgence in staying in unhealthy relationships longer than we have any business being in it. Let's talk about our need to control the lives of other people. That's an indulgence, right? We don't stay in our lane. We don't respect boundaries. We are constantly in everybody else's business and wanting to tell them how to live their lives. But meanwhile, behind closed doors, we're not living ours. We're not minding ours, right? Overindulgence in these things is an addiction. What it does is it has the same chemical reward in the brain where we get pleasure from doing these things, and it hijacks the brain the same way a substance would. So we get that same dopamine kick, we get that same serotonin kick, and as a result, we want more because going in to help somebody and solve somebody's problem makes me feel better. Me going in and getting in God's way and doing something faster than God, because somehow I think I'm miraculously quicker and faster than God, in the moment makes me feel better. So I do it again. And I keep doing it over and over and over, and then getting upset that I'm not getting the ultimate reward, or I'm not getting the outcome that I want, right? That's an indulgence, and that becomes an addiction over time. So I just wanted to round that out. The second thing I want, and all of these addictions are based in control. We feel powerless. There's a loss of control in our lives. And rather than we seek God, right? Rather we look to God and realize, Dr. Sparkle, you talked about that agape love. Rather than understanding that our love and everything that we need is rooted in God, we are constantly seeking things external of ourselves. You name it, outside of ourselves for us to feel better about ourselves.
Yes.
We can sit here all day and teach people, know your worth, know your worth, know your worth. But if you're not doing that deep level work, you are not going to know your worth. Right? And as a result of that, you're going to continue to engage in unhealthy behaviors because you keep thinking somehow that in order to love me, or in order to know my worth, in order to know my value, it's outside of me. When in reality, it's a relationship with God inside of you. That is what's going to heal you. In order for us to have healthy relationships with other people, my relationship with God must be the first and foremost relationship that I cultivate. Right? And
stay on that, Natashah, for a minute, because I think that people are so quick to want to look outside of themselves and society. Because to be honest with you, this is the Empowered Morning Show, and true empowerment comes from within. True empowerment comes from knowing that you are enough. And when you are made to feel like you're not enough, then you start seeking things that give you that I'm
to
enough.
Satisfy.
Because society has created that because they know that if everybody was empowered enough to say, you can say or do what you want to do, but you won't knock me. I am her, right? Or I am here. When you truly believe that, you can be saying all kind of things on the TV because we are the culture that whatever they say in the media, ooh, we
We
believe.
It
take it
has
and
to
run
be
with
the
it.
But
truth.
they can do that because they've allowed you and taught you to look
Mhm.
outside of yourself. So when you go to something else, food for comfort, men for comfort, um, other things, alcohol or drugs or whatever the issue is, controlling people, being, bullies sometimes because you can't control at home. You bully people in other arenas because you feel like I'm not going to be the one to get bullied again. So I want to be in control of somebody else. Or you're the person that
That's such a good point, right? So that comes back to that power. So all of what we're talking about is rooted in powerlessness. And rather than we cultivate a relationship with God and seek God on how to deal with that powerlessness and know that our strength comes from Him and that He is the Almighty, He is the most powerful. So even when we are powerless, He is who we go to for our strength. We go, no thanks. God, you're great. I'll meet you on Sunday. I'll open my Bible and we'll talk then. But for every other day of the week, I'm going to go out here in the world and see what I can control. And listen, I say it all the time. I speak from experience. My years of chemical and behavioral addictions was because I had an inflated ego. I was arrogant. I was self-absorbed and self-centered. And I believe that God wasn't moving fast enough. If there was this God that people spoke of, I don't know who He was and where He was in my time of need. But I used to step in and take care of business because Natashah is Miss Independent. She's in control and she's going to get things done. Right?
I'm sure some people can. I'm sure it's some people out there that can, if they honest about it, they can relate to that person.
Absolutely.
They would have hung out with you. Y'all would have been the group.
Listen, I had lots of friends when I was that girl. Ask me how many friends I got now, right?
It changes, right?
It changes.
It changes you. And so I come from a place of where I've experienced it, and God said, okay, Dr. Sparkle, I'm going to touch on what you said earlier. So you say you know me now? You say you have faith in me now? You say you're going to let go and let God now? Okay. Lost the marriage, lost a husband, lost a house, lost the kids, lost a job, lost it all. And I'm studying the book of Job right now. And in Job, I admired Job for the fact that when everything got stripped of him, his wife said, curse God and die. And he said, we absolutely won't do that. We're not going to curse God. We don't curse for the good. Why should we curse Him for the bad?
Yes.
And I sat there and I felt I felt conviction, and I asked God for forgiveness, even though I know He's already forgiven me. But 16 years ago, when I lived the life of Job, I cursed Him and I attempted suicide. Now, let me just magnify our Lord for just a second. In that moment, right, I cursed Him and I chose to die.
Control. Your control.
Still to the bitter end.
To the end. To the very
end. Can I tell you how stubborn, how arrogant, right? How self-centered that I was. And then He comes in 2.5 days later after me being in a sleeping stupor and goes, I'm not done with you yet. You might think you have control, but I have the ultimate control. And that was a defining moment in my life that turned my life literally on its head.
Yeah.
And that is why I live the life that I live today. And I've spent the last 16 years, and it's not perfect. I make mistakes on a daily. I find myself getting out of my lane. I'm like, Natashah, what are you doing? Holy Spirit taps me on the back and say,
way over there.
Yeah, I need you to get back in your lane. And you're like,
you in the speed lane, and you need to be over there in that slow lane.
Exactly.
Because that has nothing to do with you. And the reality is, you just delivered such a powerful thing for people to understand that even in our decisions to make things happen, we can lead to destruction. We can lead ourselves straight to destruction, but God, by His grace, by His mercy, by His goodness, He said, you may think you're doing what you're doing because this is what you want to do, but it's not about you.
And it's not going to happen.
Recognize that we're here. Yes, we're here. He gave us a life. We have families and friends and jobs and businesses. You have all these things to enjoy. But at the end of the day, ultimately, your life is for the glory of God. Amen. And until you can understand that, things will come against you, and you think that you're in control. It's just like driving down the road and you thinking like, oh, I'm just swerving and driving and doing what I do. there comes a point in time where you can lose control, whether something runs out in front of the road in front of you, whether somebody else is
Well,
following.
this is why, so this is why in every single household in the world, there is some type of tragedy or calamity.
It
Somebody
is.
somebody has lost something. There's a reason for that.
Family have not been skipped. You didn't get skipped. Okay.
Correct. Everybody
Even the ones
at
that
some point
grew up wealthy, just because you grew like that's the demand that I want the world to know. Just because you are wealthy
Yep.
does not mean you get to skip.
Right. At the end of the day, everyone has experienced powerlessness to some degree, whether you want to rate that on a scale from 1 to 100. The bottom line is mankind, humanity has experienced powerlessness. My question for many people today is, who or what do you allow you to manage your powerlessness? And I'll tell you, in the field in which I work, a lot of people don't want to accept that they're powerless. They're in such denial about powerlessness that they're not even recognizing that they're powerless because they're still operating from a place of inflated ego. No, I got this. You don't understand. I'm the fixer. I'm the problem solver. I got this. I can figure anything out. I'm here to really bring some shockwaves this morning. If you think being Miss or Mr. Independent is the way to go, you are mistakenly wrong. Because that is not healthy. Being independent, dependent, or codependent are not healthy relationships with self and or with God. So, and I had to learn that the hard way when I was getting sober, because I used to take pride in knowing that I was independent. I was a single mom. I could take care of things. And they're like, no, this whole time. Yeah. The whole time, like Angela said, I have been creating mass destruction in my life. And I might not have seen it, but it was coming down the road at a later date, and it did, right?
Yes.
But it all brought me to my knees because God wanted Natashah to learn that she is not the one in control. And when you're stubborn, when you're cocky, when you're arrogant, when you're self-centered, when you think you have all the answers, when you think you know it and you think you could figure it out, God's got a greater plan in store. Hence why I love Jeremiah 29:11.
Yes, Natashah. And that control spirit, even when you learn your lesson, it still creeps up. And
Yes,
I'm going to tell you, I was just talking to Alicia on yesterday. And as that mother in me, I rose up and wanted to take control. Let me tell you, before I could get the words out of my mouth, the Holy Spirit smacked them down so fast.
Been there.
And said, tell her to go to John 5. I was thinking, what? John 5? I got this, God. But I had a choice, a real quick choice. Which one do? Do you say, go to John 5 and let's discuss John 5? Or do you give her all this sparkle, that all this bluffing and all this that you've been
listen, just yesterday, so now I want the audience to know that I'm human and I'm not just talking to talk. Just yesterday with my 27-year-old daughter, I shouldn't say I didn't get. Holy Spirit probably led me to a piece of scripture and I just ignored it, which came to 1 Corinthians this morning, right? To not trust into what we see, but trust in the unseen. That came to me since yesterday, but I was ignoring it. And then finally last night I go, I'm just so exhausted. I'm so done talking to her. She's not listening. She's going to do her own thing. And Holy Spirit taps me in the shoulder and goes, I was waiting for you to just step to the side.
It is so real.
Yes.
Like we all can relate to that control. That control spirit rises up. And it's so crazy how he only gives you a split second. Split second. Which way you gonna go?
Are you gonna do it your way or my way? Which way are you gonna do it?
It goes back to choice, right? We always have that choice to either go his way or ours.
And the funny thing is, we think that, y'all know how sometimes we say, oh, there's nothing new on the sun. You think you're getting over on me. Been there, done that. The reality is everybody can have a similar experience, but it's still unique to just you. That outcome that you feel like you can help save somebody from, that's still their experience to go through. And they may not have the same experience as you. They can't
Amen.
because they're an individual
Amen.
person. And so you try to go out and be Captain Save everybody, Captain, make sure they're good, but that's not your job. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, you have children and you want to raise them up and you train the child up in the way that they should go. But at the same time, you're not the ultimate decider.
It's not even that child don't even belong to you.
So I was just talking about this yesterday. Ladies, it's like you're in my head. This entire conversation, I need you guys to get out of my head. You're speaking about everything that I've been talking about yesterday with my families who we work with that's in addiction. And the very go-to for a lot of our families are, well, you don't understand, I'm a mother. And I'm like, well, last time I checked, I'm a mother too, right? That does not give us a free ticket. That does not give us the excuse to continue to enable our adult children. And every single one of them that talk about their babies are above the age of 18.
Yeah.
Their babies are 30. Their babies are 40. Their babies are 50.
Mothers who have good relationship with your children, you want to maintain and hold on to that. But the reality is, if you look at birds who build nests for their baby birds, at some point in time, they're kicking them out to allow them to fly on their own. Because when you hold them in, when you try to control how the outcome is going to be, you stunt their growth. Because in reality, like they say, sometimes you need to let the baby bump his head in order for it to be like, I never want to experience that again. So sometimes you gotta say, oh, the stove is hot, and until they touch and they realize, oh, damn.
Because somebody tried to tell you, somebody tried to stop you. But
correct, but here's the thing that that you're saying, Angela, you said that if you touch the stove, that child's going to get burned. And some parent on the other end is saying, well, I don't want my child to get burned. But some kids need to get burned in order to learn. And I was one of those kids. My mother could tell me 20 which ways, and I'm still going to do it no matter what, right? But what I wanted to say as well, too, is that as families, we fail to realize that we are powerless over whether or not the people in our lives live or die. We don't get to make that decision. And even in my story about attempting suicide, I don't get to make that choice, right?
You don't get to.
And that is a hard pill for us to swallow as parents or people we love someone is saying, well, I don't want them to die. Well, I don't want them to die either. But I give a story, and Dr. Sparkle, I'll pass it over to you. I had a client who had 90 days sober. First time in her life, long-term sobriety was 90 days. In 2020, she died of COVID. And I share the story because I want people to understand. And her mom had called to say with me, can you believe this was the first time in her life? This is the longest sober time she's ever had. And addiction is not what took her out. She got COVID in the first, round of COVID and passed from COVID. That is an example that we are powerless over whether people live or die. So while you're worrying about this thing over here that is going to take them out and somehow you're going to stop that, there is something else that's going to come.
That's powerful.
You shared that because we often feel like we can circumvent danger. For people like, oh, that's dangerous. I don't want to.
Control.
But you never know. The thing that you're the most worried about may not be the method that's going to be used to take somebody out.
Amen.
And once you can recognize that, that's when I say, even about, you want to eat healthy. Do you know how many people eat super healthy and die from strokes or heart attacks or cancer or something? Then you have people out here who drink and smoke and do all these things. And baby, their liver that should be, having cirrhosis.
They got stabbed and shot.
They here till they're 95 years old. The reality is you can't control it. You have to be able to say, God, I surrender all. Amen. And truly understand what that means, that whether I eat this, whether I recklessly drive. Do you know how many people recklessly drive? And it's the person that is innocently with their seatbelt on, driving down the road with their family, and they're singing songs and on family vacation, and this maniac drives down and hits them, and now they're dead. But he was the reckless one, and they were just minding their business.
And he's still alive.
Happen all the time.
Yeah, and he's still alive.
So again, that goes back to say that the things that we worry about or control your relationship with God. Control your time spent with God. Control asking for understanding from God so that not your will, but his will be done. If you get to that place, I'm not saying it's still going to be great for you. It's not going to be peaches and cream at the same time, because there's still things that you don't want to see happen to your children, your grandchildren, your
But
significant other.
you'll navigate it differently because, like you
Oh,
said earlier, right? We're not immune to bad things happening to good people. And this relationship with God doesn't say you're not going to fall on troubled times.
It
We're
does
going to
not.
fall on them because we're human. But how we navigate those troubled times, how we walk through those troubled times, I'm going to tell you today, I deal with it so differently than I've ever had in the past. Just like last night,
I
I
might
can get up.
haven't arrived, but
I got up this morning and
mighty.
and I'm smiling, going, okay, God, I hear you. Step back, mind my business, stay in my lane, focus on me, all the things. Years ago, I would have been furious. I would have been pissed off. I'd have been like, God, you just don't know. And he's looking at me like, really? And I don't know. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to convince him that somehow I know better than he does. You know, so.
And Natasha, not only that, you know when you are overstimulating your control. When you are exhausted, you're tired, you feel heavy, you feel like then you feel helpless. That's when you should tap in and say, okay, these are the signs that I took too much control of today, because this is the day that the Lord has made, and he did not make it for me to be, oh, I can't make it through the day. I don't know how much more I can take. You're operating in overflow of control, and that's why your body, the body he gave us, that mind that he gave us, it gives us every sign when we overstep.
We need to learn how to, it's like wrestling. We need to learn when to tap out, right?
Yes, that part. And I'm gonna share this. What I learned, what you said, Natasha, about is the how in the process and how you handle and what you learn by doing that. You know, and I told you my mom died in 2000, and devastating for me, you know, to the point where I built up a wall, where I was very emotionalist about the things that I should have had emotion and joy about. My sister passed in 2016. Well, same devastation, but in turn, as I knew that she was dealing with cancer like my mom had, my thing was, God, not my will, but your will be done. And not that I want this to happen, because you know that I don't. You know I'm about to be devastated because that's my baby sister. But in the thing that I also said this time was, God, if it happens to be the same way, give me the strength to help me to endure this. Help me handle whatever your will is. Because I know that if she has to pass, I'm not going to be happy, but help me do better with this than I did with my mom. So not to say that I don't still have the same, you know what I'm saying? Still devastation.
Still cry, still feel devastated.
And handling of it was much different because I asked God, help me to handle whatever your decision is. Not that, please, with my mom, I was like, please don't take my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom, please don't leave me. In desperation and you know, and God, why did you take my mom? You could have took somebody across the street.
So let's tie in your attachment styles you asked me about earlier on that I never got to. What you're describing was when you lost your mother, the way that you were responding to losing her, that significantly showed the insecure attachments you had with mom. You were so attached to mom, it brought so much overwhelming pain that you couldn't imagine a life separated from her, right? Now, I know you loved your sister just as much. So now here comes another loss in your life, but because you attached yourself to God, I want everybody to hear me clearly, right? When we securely attach ourselves to God and we are rooted in God's love, yes, I'm still devastated. Yes, I'm still sad. Yes, I'm still all the feelings. However, how I cope, how I lean, how I deal with that loss is going to be very different than the insecure attachment that I had with the person here on earth, right? So in order to break free of those attachment styles that we spoke about last week, today's only Tuesday, that we talked about last week. Forgive me, right? We have to learn to attach to God. And in order to attach to God, we have to learn that when we study his word, we have to learn to put that into practice. If we are not changing behaviors, Nothing changes if nothing changes. I could go to church, I could go to AA, I could go wherever I want and hear a good word. I can listen to your morning show and listen to a good word in the morning. But if I'm not walking out the door, recognizing the behavior, changing the behavior, and seeking God to change that behavior, then what are we really doing? Right? People say knowledge is power, and I'm not saying that it's not, but one further step, we need to step into action, because I know a lot of brilliant, smart, intelligent people, but they're emotionally immature, causing them to behave in ways that are not in alignment with God's word and who God says he is and who he says we are in him. So
Brenda, you took it right from me, because I was just getting ready to say, everybody type into the comments, God, show me how to attach to you. Like, because we need, and we don't need this little super glue that rubs off every once in a while when you put it in. We need that dwelled in him. God, I'm so attached to you that I am making up in my mind, I'm not moving unless you say move. Like that attached, that you're standing still until
let's give people a visual. We talk about the inner child, inner boy, inner girl, which by the way, Angela had brought this to my attention. I know we speak to a lot of women since I came on the show, but everything that we talk about apply to men as well. Absolutely. Right? Yes. So there are little boys out there, they may not struggle with drugs and alcohol. And then there's a lot of men out there that take a lot of pride in that they're not addicted to drugs and alcohol. And that is fantastic. But many of us out there are still addicted to control. Yes. Right? But here's your visual. When we talk about attachment, imagine a little girl or a little boy walking hand in hand with God, walking hand in hand with Jesus, right? You are innocent. You are, without holding his hand, you'd be lost. You wouldn't know where mommy or daddy was. You wouldn't know where home was. You would just be lost. And what do children do
when they're lost?
And don't start. I don't need comments of, well, my child would just run away. Well, you got to get a better handle on your child if they're going to run away, right? When we're little, when children are young, innocent, and needing guidance, they hold on to that hand firmly, because they're waiting to be guided. Yeah. And that is what God is wanting from us, right? The little boys and the little girls to hold his hand so that we can be guided. And until you are guided, don't let go of his hand.
That's good, Natashah. That's even better. But I just want to add a little bit to that illustration. Sure. What our parents also taught us is when we're walking and they're not attached to us this moment. Maybe you're now walking yourself to school. If somebody pulls up that is a stranger and asks you to get in the car with them, tell them, I got some candy for you, come on in. What do we teach them? You remove yourself immediately. You go and get authority. Go. Because people are going to come and say, but I have some goods for you. I can love you right now. I know how to love you. I know how to hold you. I know how to give you the job of your dream. I know how to clean your credit without you paying a cent, which, don't even get me started on that. But I know how you can get this house without paying a dime. You run to that. Because you want that quick way. Like they told me I don't have to pay all this debt that I paid out. So I'm going to go to these people that says ChatGPT will clean your credit. But
instant gratification.
You didn't clean any kind of behavior. You did, like, even if it is clean, your
behavior hasn't changed.
You're still attached to the behavior.
You're going to go back and accrue more debt. You're going to go back and accrue more debt, right? Because we just had that first set of debt cleared. You've learned absolutely nothing.
Now so what you're Look, I can go back and do it again. And
absolutely. And that's where that indulgence comes from.
Repetitive behavior will lead you to it's still the definition of insanity, because you're doing the same thing over and over again. And you already know it's not going to be a different result, but you still fall for the okie doke. You fall for the banana in the tailpipe. And the thing about it is, we fall for it in different situations because maybe it's for the relationships. You fall for the same type of person. And they may have a different name,
Yep.
but it's still the same type of person. You fall for the same financial issues. You fall for the same, whatever. Behavior, yes, Miss Brenda said
And
behavior
how
has
does
to
it
change.
change? You got attached to God, and you have to say, I'm sick and tired of falling for this foolery. God, this is not you. I know that this is not you, that I
Mhm.
keep digging myself in the same kind of hole.
But you know what requires you to change the behavior, though? You have to be willing to get honest with what you're feeling about the situation. And going back to the conversation just now, where many people don't want to acknowledge and admit that they're powerless. Powerless is a feeling. So if you're not willing to admit that you're powerless, how are you going to change that behavior?
Yes.
So again,
Tasha.
we're living in a world where we as human beings, God created us to have feelings. And when you
Mhm.
hear people, feelings, I don't have feelings. I don't like feelings. I don't
Oh,
want to feel
people
sad.
will
I don't
say
want to
that,
feel this.
Natasha.
Yes, I
wear
have
my
people.
feelings.
I have people on the regular, right?
You no way about it.
I don't
Yes,
have
you
no
do.
way.
Yeah,
Are
you
you
do.
upset? No, I'm not upset.
Yes, you
I
do.
hear it in your tone. I don't have no tone.
So then I go, so you must be a robot. I've never met a robot before. Nice to meet you, right? God did not create us to not have emotions. So the sooner that we can get with the times and acknowledge, like if I need to send everybody a feelings wheel or just go on Google and look up feelings wheel, it's very important that when you're cultivating a relationship with God, that you can go to him and say, I'm powerless. I'm hopeless. I'm helpless. I feel sad. I am angry. I am resentful. All the things. Because when you bring awareness to the darkness that's within you, God has an opportunity to shine that flashlight, shine that light into your spirit to help you see where to go, how to navigate, and how to change the behavior. I got tons of people saying, yep, they've got bad behavior and they need to change it. Do you know how to help them change behavior? When we go, well, I don't like feelings either. So you don't like feelings. They don't like feelings. None of us have feelings, but somehow miraculously, we're just going to change the behavior. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Right? So.
And I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because we all can relate to it.
Yep.
And I was going to say, go back to the feeling wheel, because I think we mentioned last week, the reason why some people they feel like, oh, well, I don't have any feeling about it, because you only associate it with a handful of feelings. You only think, oh, I'm not mad about it. I'm not sad about it. But there's so many other feelings that we don't even put a word to that, because that's all we know is the five things, whether I'm not mad, I'm not angry, I'm not whatever.
Yep.
Delve a little deeper into that.
Yes, that's
good. You're kind. You said 5. I'm just with mad, sad, and glad. That's
sorry. Yeah,
I only give them.
Yes.
But you're right. It's just a handful of emotions, and so if I'm this immediate check is what I'm not mad, I'm not sad, I'm not glad, then I don't have any feelings about it. That's our measuring stick, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
We measure against whatever little bit of emotion that we have, when in reality, there's layers to what we're experiencing. You can be sad and happy and joyful at the same time. Right?
Yeah.
So are we willing to recognize our emotions, separate our emotions? Now, when you talk about attachment styles and codependency, and you talk about trauma, that's when we are enmeshed. That's when we entangle our emotions and the emotions of the person we love. In those types of dynamics, we don't know what emotions are theirs and what emotions are ours, and we are operating as one unit. And that is dangerous, because if I don't know how I'm feeling, but I'm focused on how you're feeling, and then you don't know how you're feeling because you're focused on how I'm feeling, we're operating. It's almost like we're operating in each other's bodies and not operating in our own.
Yeah.
Right? And that is what leads to those attachment styles and codependent, toxic. And that's why we stay in those relationships, because we're not taking time to recognize our own selves, mind, body, spirit.
I remember, Natasha, when God pointed out to me, because I had my quick response was, I don't care. I don't care. When God checked me on, I don't care, he said, if you can say, I don't care, it means you care. So stop convincing yourself that you don't care. You care a lot. That's why you're making it loud that you don't care. Oh, I don't care. I don't care what happened. I don't care what happened. Yes, you do.
You do. It's like the person who writes a suicide note to say, because really and truly, if you're going to take yourself out, you're going to take yourself
You're
out,
gonna
and you're
take
not going to
yourself.
even tell anybody about it. You're just going to go and do it. When you write a note, you are silent. You are actually saying, "Please help me
It's a warning
Yes.
sign. Yep.
before I do this. I need some help." And the
Yes.
reality is, for a lot of people, you're so quick to say, if somebody said, "Well, what's wrong with you?" Nothing, I'm
I'm
good.
good.
The reality is, people can tell, because it's hard to, like, I can immediately tell when something has rubbed Sparkle the wrong way just by her mannerisms. I can immediately
Mhm.
tell, like, okay, she feels some type of way about that. Most of the times we don't want to acknowledge stuff. You know what I'm saying? People can tell, my voice probably changes, or I'm
Yes.
I'm, I'm really kind of like,
Mm,
okay,
When she
I don't
do
want to,
okay, that
yeah,
means
yes, for real, like,
okay.
okay, all right, look, okay,
Or the
yeah,
nod. I do the nodding of the head and go,
mhm,
okay, that's
mhm,
me. I do
yeah.
the okay.
It's different from everybody, but when you
Yes.
know your
Yes.
person, when you know, because you know your children, when you know your child
Yes.
come home and they
What you
slam the
had
door
done?
or drop their books down, what happened? Or
Yes.
somebody calls you out the blue. For me, let's get straight to it. I don't want to hear the fluff. I'm like, save me all the details. I need to know the bottom line of
What's going
how
on?
emotional am I going to get? Am I going to be very angry, very sad, or very glad? I need to know
I need to
my
know which
three,
one am
which
I
way
doing?
I'm going. So let's cut to the chase. What happened? Oh, this what? Okay, got it. But we got to start normalizing acknowledging what's wrong, because a lot of times people have no idea what they have said, what they have
Mhm.
done. Now, don't get it twisted. Some people know exactly what buttons to push to get you from 0 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
They know exactly, if I say this, oh, she gonna go ahead and do it because she doesn't like to look incompetent or wrong or whatever. But be able to express what is going on with you, because I'm telling y'all that in expressing what's wrong, that's taking your power back. That is enabling you to be in a
Absolutely.
position to say that I'm feeling this type of way, and the reason why I
Yes.
feel that way is because you hurt my feelings, or
And
you didn't
take it
validate me.
and take those emotions to God. I
Mm-hmm.
always say go to God first. Before you come to me or you go to anybody else, take it
Go
to
to
God
God.
first,
Baby.
right? God's going to remind you of your worth and your values so that when
Mhm,
these people out here in the world are saying whatever they want to say, because they have a right to say whatever they want to say, they're entitled
mhm,
to their opinion, but their
mhm,
opinion doesn't define you. What
Yeah.
they say comes to you. You can shield yourself with God's word. You can shield yourself with your worth and your value that comes and rooted in God, that none of that stuff matters anymore. And that's something that I'm trying to help people get to, because I was one of those people who allowed everything that people said,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's opinion mattered. And I
Yes.
defined myself by everybody else's opinion of me rather than going to God and learning what his opinion was of me. And when I learned what the truth really was, that's when knowing my value and worth really set in for me. Now, when I go to make a decision, before I talk to people, right? And this is not a hit on any friends or family, but before
Yeah.
I talk to anyone in the flesh, I go to God in the spirit first.
mhm.
I wait for guidance and direction, and then I'll start to talk. Back in the day, it was the complete opposite. I used to talk to everybody else, and
And then
maybe I would venture to
Well,
go
they say
talk to
shoot
God.
straight,
Maybe.
ask
maybe
questions. Look,
is
shoot
always
straight,
the
ask
last
questions
one.
straight.
Yeah.
But in doing so, you kill people who may not have been doing what you thought was happening. You know what I'm saying? You
Right.
never know. But Miss Phyllis said the same thing. That's why we should take everything to God in prayer.
Absolutely.
And,
Everything.
and when you take it, this is where we have to get back to the point of it. God is not a genie. God is not a microwave. He's not saying in you give me 2 point okay, God, I'm gonna give you 2 point seconds to respond. And if you don't respond in these 2 point seconds, I'm gonna do it this way because obviously you wanted me to do it this. Like we start doing this. Obviously you wanted me to do it because if you wouldn't have wanted me to do it that way, then you would have said something to me. But so, like now you're doing all
I'm
this
only
talking.
laughing. I'm only laughing because I've been there, done
I,
that. I can
why?
so
Why do
relate to that
everything I say, Natasha? I say it because I'm healed from it, or I'm in the healing process. I'm
process of it.
still being
Amen.
processed from it. So when
Amen.
I say things, it's not because I'm actually healed yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
still in the kindergarten with my coloring book on this, and I'm coloring outside the lines. And he's saying, I told you before and before to get back in line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you 100%.
That's a microwaving God. Yes. And
Yes.
that is what we have become so accustomed to as a society. And the
So
reality
accustomed to it.
is, God is in control, and his time is not our time. And it says specifically in the Bible that, how he measures things is not how we measure. And so we have got to get to a place where you're content with where
Mm.
God has you. And if you're not, have the conversation, because maybe you're hindering where you need to go. It's not that he doesn't
Amen.
want to give you great things, because he's a good God.
Amen.
He wants to give you good
Yes.
things. But
Why
the
wouldn't he
reality
want
is, we
to?
think, why would he want to? If he
Mm-hmm.
created the heaven and the earth and everything that he did every single day, at the end
Yes.
he said it is good, then that means that he's a God that wants to do good things.
But
And
if we
so,
don't stored, I'm learning in my process and healing, if
mhm,
I don't stored the things I already have, if I'm not a good
mhm,
steward of his money, if I'm
mhm,
not good steward in a marriage, if I'm
mhm,
not a good steward in any relationship, if I'm not a good steward with the children he gave me,
mhm.
why am I deserving of more? Just
Come
because I
on.
want
Like, what?
more?
So
Right?
Come
And I
on,
you're
learned that
God.
the
gonna
hard
give
way.
me
Like, here
more,
for
to
real
flip
this
more,
year.
to fumble more of them.
Which is
Like,
kind of what you were saying with the debt just now. I'm going to get this person to wipe my debt clean and I don't have to
Mhm.
pay a dime. So what? So I can go back and get myself in more
we
debt?
all have to pay the cost. That's all I'm getting. I'm gonna say that
Yeah.
real quick. So if you want to spend your time going to these people that can delete your credit for life and you never have to worry about it, you don't gotta pay down. You didn't say that when you was out there spending them people money. You did not say that. You spent that people money with freedom. And if you owe people money, it's your responsibility
Pay your
to
debt.
pay the people. You want to go to God and say, I owe nothing but love.
Amen.
That's where we should be rooting to get to. I owe nobody nothing but love. I
Amen.
can love you, but you ain't gonna pull out no receipt and say, oh, but she didn't pay her. No, I paid you. Now, it might have been a negotiating, but you agreed that I didn't have to pay you all your money. So here goes my portion. But when you have to pay something like that, you know how long it takes longer. So in the longer process, you learn so much. This has been good. I cannot believe we're already at the hour point. But Natashah, you bring out so much greatness. Get to the
You
root
guys
of it.
you guys started this conversation. The two of you were going on, and I was like, I'm not really sure why they need me here. They're doing a great job. So like, you guys are amazing.
No,
No.
never.
Baby, listen, we just throwing on out there and then we let you go. We just mix the cake together and then we give it to you so you can go on and
And
put
they were
that.
like, icing it, girl, sparkle it, girl. Look,
Look, no, she
Natasha,
gotta
I
bake it for
always,
look. She gotta bake it for real because she puts on the for real. Like, let me give you, like Tina said, you go straight on in there, put the heat on it so that it will start cooking
It
and,
bakes
and,
it.
and bake for real, and then put the
yes.
icing on
Good.
top.
You
So,
can tell we love to eat.
girl, yeah, because it's all about food. Look, it's always about some baking, girl. Always baking something in the oven.
We
Yes,
always put stuff in the oven. We always. And
I
yes,
love
yes,
it.
just
yes.
a real quick thing. What are you gonna put the stove on? 350. Why not? Everything goes on 350.
Everything is 350.
50.
350. 350 is the universal temperature, baby.
Okay. Oh, Natasha, everybody needs to get their book because we are getting healed for real.
Yes.
But I don't know why. I look this up all the time, but I can never find the book on
Everyone
Amazon.
says it. So the publisher's working on it. So you have to type in getting to the root of it. And Natasha Khan, my first name has an H at the end of it. So if you spell my name incorrectly, unfortunately, you will not find it. But type in the title, Getting to the Root of It versus My Journey, because I think that's what a lot of people are doing, unfortunately. And
Uh-huh,
that's the
uh-huh.
publishers are working on that.
You
So
are
hopefully we
so
can get that
and
changed.
there it goes. I just want to put it in. I want to see if I order it. How long it's
Hi,
taking?
Miss Phillips. She said we're in balance.
Thank you, Miss Phyllis.
Well, you know what? I want y'all. Kelly said she posted the link on her page. It's something that will put it in the chat if y'all got a chance. Put the link in there so people can go and get it and get the book because Sparkle, we are going to be announcing on the 15th of this month,
Yes.
coming together to do a book club.
And I'm asking this because I don't know if we're going to make it to the 15th because it's saying now if you order it today, you will get it the 6th. So it depends on how fast people
purchase,
how fast people order it. But we're gonna do our best. But for the Empowered Morning Show, you're on here. You have heard about it. Order your book because this is for real this time. I know you're gonna say I already healed before. I already did that. I already tried that. All that whole list of everything. It doesn't matter how many times you try it until you. It's not crazy until you make
until you get to the root of it. Until you get to the root of it.
Exactly.
So
love it. Kelly said she got hers. The 15th Sparkle, we're just really kind of laying the foundation. So they will still, because we're going to start talking March the 1st. The 1st and the 15th will be our days of,
Okay.
Because so that way they still get her. Miss Patricia said she got hers. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. We about to get to the root of it, honey. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Natasha, I did have a quick question about the book, though. Do you want anyone to personally order from you, or do you want everybody to order from Amazon?
Everything's through Amazon for right now.
She said she ain't shipping you nothing. She ain't going to no post office. She's not doing all that. You gonna use what you always use. Amazon package has been coming to your house every day. So add this to your Amazon package because I ain't doing all that. She said I ain't doing all that.
And I ain't said all this. So she look doing too much.
You're not wrong though. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. They did ask me that question. You, as a publisher, you guys know that as publishers, I just don't want the responsibility.
I know, right?
It's a responsibility.
One of two things. Listen, either you're going to be the person that says, a cute little note, and I want to add a little something. I want to send it, and I want you to get it from me. And then other people are going to be like, girl, child, let them folks order from there because I don't want to do all
Angela, that is me. I want to put a heart on it.
Well, what we do is we put on an event and have people come out, and then they can actually get a signature then. I wish I had been able to do a book signing, but everyone was across the United States. So what I did was for the first 50 people that purchased the book, they actually got a nice little card I mailed them to use as a bookkeep in the book for them, right? Anybody that's on the show, if you would like one, I just need someone to direct message me that they would like one, and I'm happy to do that.
Natasha said she did the cuteness. I've already been there, done that. Y'all should have been the first 50, and you wasn't the first.
You tricked me into nothing because I ain't saying it. Look.
I posted on Facebook. The first 50 people to buy it, right, Angela?
That's why I love when God puts you with a group of people, and everybody is good with being uniquely who they are.
Exactly. What you say? I said I'm good for 50, God. After that, baby, you was on your own.
I believe God. Do you believe God? We believe God. We believe God. We will see you back on Wonderful Wednesday. And love you. And guess what? Natasha's coming back. Natasha's coming back.
Bye. We out.